Welcome to the show. Before I kick things off today, a couple of quick programming notes. First off, the Canadian banks are all reporting their third quarter earnings this week. They will be all wrapped up by tomorrow. Next week, I will be putting out a special edition that focuses all on the Canadian banks. Full recap of their earnings there. So I hope you can catch that at some point next week. Also, later today, after this video has been filmed, NVIDIA will be reporting their earnings. The markets are expecting about up to a $300 billion move one way or the other, depending on what they come out there. So I will put a full recap of that in this weekend's Pulse newsletter. If you're not subscribed there, I will put a link in this video here. Now, on to today's top stories. First off, even if you only watch Canadian news, you certainly can't help but notice that the U.S. will be gearing up for an election in a couple of months. A lot of Canadians are wondering what the results or what effect the results of that election cycle will have on our country. Now, Canada's ambassador to Washington, Kirsten Hillman, she reassured Canadians that we have no reason to be overly concerned about the potential outcomes of that election, whether it results in Donald Trump returning to power or Kamala Harris winning. She was speaking at the federal cabinet retreat in Halifax this week. She highlighted that while Trump's proposed global tariff could pose some challenges for Canada, it would be difficult for the U.S., in her opinion, to implement them directly against us. She says that she doesn't think we have anything to be concerned of under either administration. She also pointed out that despite the differences in the approach, both of these major U.S. political parties, they share certain core goals such as economic growth, job creation, and national security. And she says there are differences in the point of view as to how those two parties wish to attain those objectives, but the core objectives are the same. She suggests that this perspective should guide Canada in its diplomatic relations with the U.S., regardless of the outcome of this election. Now, Canada has already revised what's called its Team Canada approach. This was previously used during Trump's first presidency to mitigate the impact of his administration's trade policies. The strategy involves mobilizing politicians, business leaders to engage with their U.S. counterparts across different levels of government. This effort has included already Canadian officials traveling to 33 U.S. states, meeting with 42 governors, with the goal here of ensuring that Canada remains top of mind as the U.S. policymakers craft their strategies. I must say I was pretty excited to hear about the new deal that Amazon has signed with the Kelsey brothers to host their podcast. You probably know that we also have a podcast channel where we take all of our YouTube videos and we put them on there as well. So I've reached out to Amazon to see what they might be willing to offer us. Now, for context, the NFL brothers here, Jason and Travis Kelsey, they've secured a deal for their popular podcast, which is called New Heights with Jason and Travis Kelsey. They've signed with Amazon's podcast studio, Wondery. The deal is reportedly worth around $100 million, and it grants Wondery exclusive ad sales and distribution rights for all of the audio and video episodes, including the entire back catalog, this just in time for the new season. Now, I've got to be straight with you. I'm not expecting that our payday will be quite as large, but you never know. New Heights now is heading into its third season and figures the Kelsey brothers' commentary, insights, and interviews about the NFL. It has become a top-rated sports show, and especially, of course, during the football season. In a statement, the Kelsey brothers expressed their enthusiasm. They said, "We love this show and the fan base that has grown with us over the last 2 seasons. Heck, what's not to love? $100 million. On top of that, Travis Kelsey will earn just under $20 million during the 2024 NFL season. That is the highest paid tight end in the NFL. If you are a New Heights listener, Wondery will have exclusive rights, but this deal doesn't mean that the show will disappear from other streaming platforms like Spotify or Apple Music. It just means that Wondery will handle the advertising and the distribution. Subscribers to Wondery Plus will also enjoy some perks such as ad-free episodes and early access. A week ago now, Harvest ETFs launched its high income shares ETFs. Companies like Amazon, Microsoft, Eli Lilly, NVIDIA, these are some of the largest, most widely held stocks in the market. Well, the Harvest high income shares now allow you access to these core US companies, and those are overlaid with Harvest's established active covered call strategy. The aim here is to deliver higher income every month. Some of the highlights of this new series: stocks that you know, Amazon, Microsoft, NVIDIA, Eli Lilly. They offer long-term growth because you're participating in these leading businesses with strong growth prospects. Also, you enjoy attractive tax-efficient cash distribution every month, supported by that covered call program. Some of the key benefits: the funds are structured as Canadian trust units. You can enjoy tax-efficient income in both CAD or USD. and there is an enhanced series available as well with a modest 25% leverage. You can learn more by visiting harvestetfs.com and see how they can assist you in achieving your financial goals. The Dow Jones Industrial Average hit an all-time record high yesterday, closing at 41,250. And this really comes as investors are reacting to the very strong signals that the Federal Reserve has sent out that they will start cutting interest rates soon. A lot of this optimism comes from the remarks that were made by the Fed Chair Jerome Powell. He stated on August 23rd that the time has come for the U.S. to begin easing monetary policy. Now, this hasn't been necessarily a smooth ride, as it never is to the top here. The month of August has been quite volatile for global markets. We've seen quite significant fluctuations here in the U.S. and Japan. With all of the three major U.S. industries now recovering from the earlier losses we saw this month, they're positioned to close out the month with gains. Powell's comments have nearly assured September rate cut that has boosted investor confidence, and he also mentioned that a soft landing where inflation decreases without a spike in unemployment is within reach. This next story caught my attention. It has been reported that Bell Canada generated over $64 million in gross revenue from calls made by inmates in Ontario jails between 2013 and 2021. And they paid nearly $39 million of that as a commission to the province. This was recently disclosed by Bell after years of the company and the province refusing to actually reveal these figures. This controversial phone system is known as the Offender Telephone Management System. They charged inmates $1 per minute for long-distance calls plus $2.50 connection fee. And these calls could only be made collect, which means that the cost burden fell on the families of the inmates, the people that they were calling out to. Lawyers in a proposed class action lawsuit now against Bell on Ontario, they argue that the rates are exorbitant. They have led to financial strain on the families who had to cover the costs. David Stearns, he's a lawyer involved in the lawsuit, and he says, this confirms what we knew to be the case all along, which shows that Bell was gouging the families of the inmates. He criticized Bell for taking advantage of vulnerable individuals, and he described the situation as pure opportunism. Now, in its defense, Bell has defended its practices. It claims that it stuck to the CRTC rules, charged the same collect calls as other phone services, but a lower court judge here found that these rates were 4 times higher than those were charged to inmates in other provinces. The lawsuit is now in limbo as the CRTC determines whether it has jurisdiction over the matter. If not, the case may return to the courts. I know that I've talked about this a few times on the channel before, but I think it's worthy of going over again. The market for distressed commercial properties in Canada has seen sales more than double in the first half of 2024 to now $803 million when compared with the same period last year. And what's happening here is that developers who are facing bankruptcy, or in some cases lenders who are pushing projects into receivership, that has led to a huge increase in available properties. There's now a growing disconnect, though, between what buyers are willing to pay and what sellers expect to receive. The number of real estate receiverships has risen very sharply, with 137 construction and real estate receiverships recorded in the first 6 months of 2024. That's an average of 23 per month. The properties that are affected in this case range from office and retail spaces to unfinished condo towers and even vacant plots of land. Now, even with this increase in distressed properties, finding buyers who are willing to meet the seller's expectation has remained a challenge. An example of that is marketing materials for a Toronto property that is owned by Van Dyke Group of companies. They were sent to over 6,000 potential buyers, but only one formal offer was submitted. A lot of these lenders are unwilling to take major losses. There are no lenders who are saying, we just need to get rid of it no matter what. Now, more troubled properties are expected to hit the market due to these rising borrowing costs that we've seen, missed loan payments, and this standoff between the buyers and the sellers, it no doubt is going to continue to shape this new landscape of commercial real estate here in Canada. Again, I will put out a full recap of the Canadian bank earnings next week. As always, thank you for watching. We'll see you in the next video.